All right, guys. So today we're going to work on comparing two texts. We've already read Election Day and we've already read lessons about voting, but I want to go through and read them to you again. That way I can kind of do the reading part and you can do the thinking part. The big focus for today is what is the same and what is different about these two texts. You'll notice they're generally about the same idea of voting, presented in a different way, in a different genre. So even though they are similar and you can learn very similar things about them, there's also different ideas presented. So I want you to kind of think as I'm reading through both of these, what do you notice that's the same and what do you notice that's different? If you would like, you can actually create your Venn diagram now to kind of get your brain thinking about what's the same and what's different. Um, if you want to do that now, you can. And you can kind of take notes as I read along for you. Or if you want, you can go back and do this after if you just want to kind of sit and listen right now. So I'm going to read the first one to you now. Election Day. What is Election Day? Election Day is a time when citizens are able to vote to elect a leader. To elect a leader means someone is helping to choose a person to lead the country, state, or town. People are able to elect leaders such as the president, senators, governors, and mayors. Election Day was created to make sure all U.S. citizens can play a role in the government. By voting, not only can citizens help decide who are their leaders, but they also help to change laws and help to make new laws. While elections can take place during different times of year, most large elections take place in November. Who can vote? To vote in America, a person must follow certain rules. Americans must be a citizen of the United States. Citizens must also be at least 18 years old to vote. In most states, people must register or sign up to vote several weeks before Election Day. So far I see what is Election Day? We're electing new leaders for the government, new laws. It's telling me who can vote. Now it's telling us how. There are many different ways to vote. The most popular way to vote is to go to your polling place and cast your ballot or submit your vote. Your polling place is decided by where you live. If you are unable to vote at your polling place, you can mail in your vote. When you mail in your vote, this is called an absentee ballot. Both ways of voting are counted equally. Citizens are only allowed to vote one time in each election. After all the votes are counted, winners of elections are announced. The winners now hold a job known as public office. The winners begin their jobs or take public office soon after the election's over. And then our little picture and caption says, for many years, citizens would select who they are voting for on paper ballots. They would then put those paper ballots in a locked box to be counted. Now, most people voting using a computer at their polling place. Because of this, counting ballots is much quicker. And again, if you need any words, definitions for you, the glossary is always there. So if I was doing my boxes and bullets notes, I would think to myself, okay, my big ideas here, what is Election Day? Guess what? Your headings help a lot for boxes and bullets. And I take a few notes on what happens on Election Day, who can vote, and how can you vote. So maybe you want to pause and set up some boxes and bullets for Election Day if that helps you organize. You can also edit this document and use the highlighting tool if you want to pull out the big ideas there. And this with nonfiction text, headings are always really good help. But our next one you'll notice is fiction. It is realistic fiction because it's still about voting, but in this case, it's set from Grayson's point of view. So here's what we got. Hurry and buckle your seatbelt, Grayson's mom said. We've got to get to the polling place before they close. I really want to make sure I get to vote. I am hurrying, Mom, Grayson cried as he tried to get his seatbelt untwisted. What is a polling place anyways? Grayson's mom started the car and began to pull out of the school's bumpy parking lot. A polling place is where I'm going to cast my vote for our next governor. I also get to vote yes or no about 2 new laws for our state, his mom answered. Ooh, man, if I was taking notes or doing a Venn diagram, I'm noticing in both of these they're talking about a polling place and they're talking about voting on new laws. So keep that in mind as you go through this. If you need to pause and write some stuff down, you can. Why is it so important to vote? My teacher said thousands of people are voting today. I don't think it will matter if you don't vote. You are just one person, Grayson said in his grumpiest voice. He was very annoyed he couldn't just go home and play outside with his friend Brandon. Grayson did not want to go sit around a polling place and watch people vote. At the next red light, Grayson's mom turned around and looked at him very seriously. I have voted in every election since I was 18 and was first allowed to vote. I always want to be sure my opinion is heard by voting. It is an important right given to American citizens. I want to make sure I vote for leaders and laws that will keep us safe and help us to be happy. I'm hearing some similarities in that paragraph too. A few minutes later, Grayson and his mom arrived at their assigned polling place. They were voting in a middle school gym close to their house. Cool, Grayson thought. Maybe I can play basketball in the gym while she votes. Grayson's hopes were quickly dashed or taken away as he saw the people in the gym. There was no room to play at all. What is all this stuff? Grayson asked, pointing to different tables and booths. These are voting booths, his mom answered. They are set up so people can have privacy when they vote. Inside the voting booths are computers. Oh, that's a word that I heard in both. Maybe go back to your previous article. The computers show voters a ballot. A ballot lists all the things you're able to vote for today. Ballots haven't always been on a computer, though. When I first started voting, I circled who I was voting for on a piece of paper. Using computers makes counting votes much quicker. We should know who won the election tonight. Grayson looked around as he and his mom moved forward in the line. He noticed how many different people were there to vote. People of all ages and races were in the gym. Everyone seemed excited to be able to vote. Grayson walked with his mom to their voting booth and watched as she selected who she wanted to win the governor's election. Then she read over the new laws on the ballots and voted yes. When she finished voting, Grayson and his mom each got stickers. The stickers had the words "I voted" on them in red, white, and blue letters. Grayson never felt prouder to wear a sticker before. Even though he was not able to vote yet, he was proud to have been with his mom when she did. Voting is a much bigger deal than I thought, Mom, he said. I can't wait until I'm 18 and I can vote. So as I read through this, I heard a lot of similarities. Obviously, there are differences too, but the main ideas are fairly similar. So now it's your job, and if you want to pause it now while it's fresh in your brain, you could make your Venn diagram. Or if you want to come back to it, that's up to you. You will have to find at least 3 differences and 2 similarities. That should be pretty easy to do. There are much more than that. You can type them in your boxes. This will be during writing time. And then you have 5 questions here, and you have to use both passages to answer the questions. So again, which of the following choices is the information that can be found in both passages? So what you're really going to have to do today is kind of go back and forth and double check, okay, this was said in one, was it said in the other? And so if you want, you can use your highlighting tool and drop some boxes here. Or if you want to take notes in your notebook, that works too. But today our job is really to make sure we're using both texts. We've gotten great at finding text evidence from just one text, but now we need to synthesize or combine both of them. So we need to make sure it's written in both texts, not just one, or some of these are going to kind of ask you which one best shows about how he felt. So again, we're going back to the text, and you can bounce back and forth. If you want to listen to me reading it to you, you can also re-listen to it. Or if you want to complete your Venn diagram before you answer the questions, that's also up to you. You don't have to do it in this exact order. And then you will have to write a compare and contrast on the 2 articles. What's the same and what's different? Again, you can use your Venn diagram to write this. So today our big goal is finding these similarities and differences between the 2. That's going to involve us to really pay attention to both articles. And as we listen, recognize those words we hear repeated. There will be repeated words in both articles. But then there's a lot of obvious differences as well.